Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Tuesday, October 14th, and it is USC week, and we are going to have our final look back on the NC State game and our final kind of film review of that game, and then we'll get into USC talk and all that stuff, and it's a big game. I think a lot of people are excited for it. I'm certainly excited for it. I do have that trepidation of it's – when you live out here, Jamie, it's the USC thing. It's in the air. It's in the air, and you just kind of feel it. And sometimes it clouds my my analysis a little bit of the game. I try not to do that, but it's in there. So I got to work through that. But it's going to be a very fun show today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you hear, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So whenever it is, we go live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. Notre Dame has reloaded this season. Now's the time to refresh your wardrobe and add the perfect suit, sport coat, tuxedo, or casual jacket for fall. ESQ's master tailors combine next-level craftsmanship with the finest fabrics to deliver a fit that's built just for you. Now with showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka, book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD at your appointment and receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's esqclothing.com. Let's talk some injuries real quick because they're somewhat topical. Obviously, Ashton Craig is out for the rest of the season. He tore his ACL again in the same knee that he had before. I didn't really see a mechanism for that injury, Jamie. I think he was like a non-contact thing, which is super unfortunate for him. And it's a bummer. And obviously you hate to see that. It's mid-October, so you could get him back for next year if he returns. So that should be something to we're going to keep track of. It's going to be Joe Otting in the center. I think people have been – I know Notre Dame's been excited about him for a little bit. Just you hear things about players. It's somewhat similar to Cole Mullins where – and I think Otting has shown more than Cole Mullins has in his time. And so there's a little bit more reason to believe he's ready to go. But I know that you've been excited about him in the past, Jamie. So just talk a little bit about Joe Otting real quick before we move on to the other injury updates.
Yeah, well, he was a kid who's an exceptional athlete. Like, if anyone watches high school film, he was a guy that was maybe the twitchiest offensive lineman that I can remember.
Yeah.
Like, really moved well, like a guy who could pull and just crush guys as a puller, was super athletic. He's a guy who had a lot of great, track results as a thrower as well. Was like a state champion track guy. And played basketball too. So he's a really good athlete.
Yeah.
He's added a lot of weight since he's been at Notre Dame. But I mean, you could tell he doesn't look big, right? Like, he looks kind of like small for a guy who's like 300 pounds. And I would say not Absher, sorry, because I saw Absher's name on the thing. But Ashton Craig is like longer than him and just naturally kind of like a bigger framed kid than him. But I think he's got a chance to be a pretty good player. And I always kind of thought he's someone that I didn't know, because of who's in front of him and when he was going to play. And he's definitely, I think, like a center only guy.
Yeah.
But he's not like Zeke Correll. Like, he's bigger than Zeke Correll, and he's a better athlete than Zeke Correll too. So I think, he's got a chance to be a pretty good player. You play him in that game, he was fine. He was, not great, not bad, just fine, solid in pass pro. I think he's like a smart kid. It's going to be an adjustment. You lose your center. Obviously, USC's down their center too, right?
Right.
And it's just one of these things where you'll kind of see how it goes. Like, Craig was someone who was put in when he was, the third team guy in a game against Clemson on the road, and actually did really, really well, and then played well the rest of the year. So I think he has a chance to be a pretty good player, but we'll see how it goes. He's obviously getting thrown into the fire in the first week.
Yeah. I think very unlike the tackle position last year at times when it was like Tosh Baker might be the guy and there was concerns like that might just straight up be a liability. I don't think that's the case with.
No, I wouldn't put it in that terms at all. No.
So I think there's a good sense that there's going to be good quality play, an expectation of quality play from Joe Otting. He's going to be a good player. Bobby S asked about Devontae Smith and whether or not we feel like he's going to be ready for the game. He was listed as questionable after being out on Saturday against NC State. I don't think he's going to be ready to go. And we were talking before the show, if he's like 70, 80%, I don't know that that's a better option than 100% Dallas Golden, even with the experience and the, the size that I think would really help against Makai Lemon, because Makai Lemon is a very, very good player. He's not the biggest guy, right? He's only 5'11". He's stout. I mean, I think he's built very similarly to Devontae Smith, actually. And that's a good matchup physically. If it's Makai Lemon against Dallas Golden, Makai Lemon is going to have that physical advantage just because he's been in college and Dallas Golden is obviously a true freshman. So you'd like it, the idea of having Devontae Smith against Makai Lemon, but if he's not going to be 100% on that calf and he's nervous about it or he's unsure about it, I don't know that it's a better option just to go with Dallas Golden and go with the healthy player in that sense. But where do you think he's going to be at, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know exactly what he's going to be at. I imagine he'll do everything to try to get back if he's close. But if he's not close, then exactly what you said. Like, if he's like 70, 80%, he's going to get cooked. Like, that'll be a worse matchup for Notre Dame. So I don't think that would be a good thing at all if it goes that way. So that's not how I see it. I think with Lemon too, a lot of what you said, Greg, on Power Hour about them they're going to get different matchups on him. Like, it's not going to be like sometimes it'll be Gray, sometimes it'll be more, right? Like, they're going to do that. Jordan Clark wasn't on Lemon all the time, right? In that game. And the other thing is, like, he's about like 2/3 in the slot and the other third out wide, right? And they're going to move him around. They're going to do a ton of motion with him. They're going to do everything with him, right? Like, they've thrown passes with him before, right? Like, and believe me, if you look at like last year where they had, obviously you look at what they had last year against him too. He had 9 catches, 133 yards on 10 targets.
Yeah.
Like, the guy was awesome in that game. And so people shouldn't expect that he is going to be like, they're not going to shut him down. It is not going to happen. Like, they're going to slow him down is the goal.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to, a guy like that. It's like, you're playing Jeremiah Smith. You're not going to shut him down. You have to slow him down and make sure you don't give up enough of the big one. You just don't want to give up that like 60-yard touchdown. You don't want to do that with him or Jacoby Lane, right? That's the main thing.
You just don't want him to destroy the game, like you gotta, he's going to get
they call them game wreckers, right? Yeah.
Exactly. They're going to get stuff, and that's just the nature of it. You also have to be careful with things like when if they send Leonard Moore into the slot, okay, well, you're only doing that if you're going to play man. So you're identifying your coverage in that case. And you got to be careful with that with Riley, because he can scheme you up. He can get you into a call that you don't like. He can basically he can kind of take away Leonard Moore in that way. So Notre Dame's going to want to mix up coverages. They're going to want to do different things at different times. Obviously, I think, like we said, if they're in 12, I don't mind Leonard Moore shadowing Makai Lemon in that way, because there's only 2 wide receivers on the field at the same time. So there's a lot of things that they can do in those types of situations. So we're going to be monitoring, Devontae Smith. Marcus Freeman will talk to the media on Thursday. We'll see if he's been upgrading people to probable at different times. He did it with Devontae Smith at one point. He did it with Leonard Moore, and that obviously was a positive sign. They both played the next game. So we'll happen to hear what he says. Jaden Greathouse is also questionable. I can't, if he's not 100%, I don't see why you play him, especially when Will Pauling is playing so well right now. It just, there's no need for it if he's not going to be healthy. So that's kind of my opinion on that. All right, getting back to the NC State game real quick, Jamie. I want to lead off with the running game and Notre Dame's running game because I think it's kind of a hot topic amongst the fan base right now. And it was a hot topic yesterday on Power Hour with you and Mike. On the film, how did you feel like Notre Dame blocked it versus how NC State presented themselves in trying to stop the run? Because I think there's a correlation there, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it before I kind of weighed in on it.
I think they blocked it okay. I don't think it was definitely not their best game. Like there were too many guys, like I said during the show, like there's too many guys who lost one-on-one matchups that you don't want to see. But it wasn't a thing where they were getting whooped up front. That wasn't the case. And yeah, they had more numbers. Like they were doing that on purpose. That's the reason why that nickel spot was like, they were able to just go after that guy because that guy was a man coverage all the time. The linebackers had to carry, Eli Reardon down the field all the time. Well, the reason that happens is because they're a man, right? Like they have to do that. So when you're doing that and you're kind of being over aggressive, and they blitzed the crap out of Notre Dame too, right? So, and some of those blitzes were blitzing like run blitzing, expecting run, and then getting passed on, right? Like that was definitely the case. So I think it wasn't, the cleanest game by any means, but and that's why too. And we talked about it, after the game, that you want to mix things up because you have to make them think a little bit more, and you have to make them maybe catch them in something, which you would want to see like more variety in the running game. But I don't know. It wasn't. I'm definitely not as how Mike is really worried about it. I don't feel that same way.
It's one of those things like, and I came on and he asked me about it and I came on and talked about it. NC State, you know how they say, like, you got to pick your poison type of thing, NC State kind of picked their say, right? Like, I think that the failed fourth down conversion, that's a decision that Notre Dame made. Like, I don't think that they chose not to run because they didn't think they could get it. Honestly, yeah. I'd love to ask Mike Denbrock, or I don't know if he's talking today or what. We don't always get to coordinators, but like, why did you do that? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, why throw a 5-yard out or whatever out route you wanted to Will Pauling? You could just run it. It'd be one thing if they tried to scheme up like an explosive. They thought they'd get him in something. They didn't, but it's just like you're running it. You're trying to get minimal yards anyway. So just run the ball. You obviously think you can, and you should be able to get on 4th and inches. Marcus Freeman, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but
that's good.
I think specifically because of, why they're running that, that little sprint out to the right, the half roll, is because that is a play that has been like, it had to have been like a 90% success rate this year.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they called that play. I just think it was, obviously that was something that NC State was prepared for. They were prepared for it. And that was the thing. And I totally agree with you. Like, I'd much rather they do like what they did with Cooper Flanagan last year, where they would do hey, little pull it in and dump it over the top thing.
Yeah.
If they were going to do something like that, because you're not really sucking anyone in if you're going to and then that's probably a touchdown.
Right.
Let's be honest, right? It's probably a touchdown. So, but again, it's inches. Sneak it.
Yeah.
And if you got to be able to run a quarterback sneak.
And Freeman said they work on it all the time. They work on quarterback under center like every day. So it's not that, it just seems like it's something you can do.
Something that's you gotta be able to run a quarterback sneak. It's just one of those automatic things.
And here's the other thing too, is this is kind of lost in, the difference between years and things like that. So a lot of the times on these rollouts, it's implied, if not outright said, to the quarterback, like, hey, if it's not there, we want you to run this because you're putting him on the move.
Yes.
And CJ Carr is not good at that right now. He's not. He does not make good decisions, and he waits too long.
He waits too long to decide whether to run.
Yeah. By the time he realized, and you could kind of see it, like he's waiting. I mean, he just ran out of bounds, Jamie.
Yeah.
Like that is a brain, there's words that former coaches will use about that. Like that is a brain freeze, like completely. You cannot on fourth down just run out of bounds and lose however many yards. If it's 15 or whatever it was, you can't do that. And throw the ball away and save the yardage. So like that part of it is cut off. So the play has to work perfectly and it has to be open. And if it isn't, in the past, it's like, well, Riley Leonard
is going to,
go do something. CJ Carr is not going and doing something right now.
No.
So that to me is it's something they need to factor in when they call these plays. You don't have multiple ways to win on those types of things. And with other quarterbacks, you do.
Yeah. And obviously with CJ Carr, you get so much more in the passing game. And that's
sure
blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
But you have to change some things because of it. It's like they tried in the first game, they ran quarterback power a couple times, right? And obviously Lambert blew the block, and the other time they ran it, it got like stuffed bad, right? And it's just, I don't know. Like I just think in those kind of situations, it's okay to be like Mitchell Evans was taking the snap, and you're just gonna fall forward. Like sometimes you got to be able to do it. You just got to be able to do it.
Yeah. I do think, though, if they're going to give the ball to Love and Price 33 times and they gain 152 yards between the two of them, then if the passing game output is 342, it's like 11 yards per attempt, then that running game is perfectly fine. Because you're still running for 150. It's not like they're running like 30 times for 90, and you're just running into a brick wall every single time. Like they're hitting explosives, and not in terms of like going for 70, but they're hitting 20 yarders. They're hitting 15 yarders. Like they're moving the chains in that way too. You're averaging just under 5 yards a carry, right? It's not what you want from backs of that quality, but in the aggregate, when you come out to the fact that you're throwing in such an explosive manner, it works out. Like that's good offense. That's offense you can do. That's offense you can do on a weekly basis. Like I will take that, right? I will take that every single week, because if you're at 485 and you're at about 7 yards a play, 6.8 yards a play against NC State. I mean, that's winning football. So obviously, and I do count on them to hit an explosive more often than not. I don't know that they're going to go that many games when they run the ball that many times and they're not going to break at least one. So I think that was a little bit of an anomaly from NC State as well.
100%.
And so that's something.
I mean, that's NC State has given up a bunch of those this year.
Yeah. So it's odd that it didn't happen, right? And you would have expected it to. I do want to kind of flag something that there have been, and I talked about this on Power Hour yesterday as well. Like there have been a lot of mistakes that Notre Dame has made, and Marcus Freeman references it, like Notre Dame's beating Notre Dame. It didn't happen. The one game it didn't happen, it was Arkansas, and they scored on every possession, basically. But it has happened kind of every other game. I mean, with the exception of Purdue as well, but they're doing things to stop themselves, and that worries me. It's not really SC specific. It's like against a good team specific, where it's like they're constantly moving the ball, but they're not consistently cashing in on all the opportunities that they have. And granted, you end up with 36, but it's like you get into a game when you don't reach the red zone 8 times. You reach the red zone, let's say 6 times. And it's like, if you only score 3 or 4, it's like those points you kind of want in a close game. And like with penalties, with turnovers, with fourth down decisions or fourth down mistakes, bad snaps on whatever, it's happening too much where it's like that is kind of almost becoming who they are. And that's when you get to the point where it's like, hey, Notre Dame has the number 4 offense in college football, but this is how you kind of find ways to lose games. And they did it a little bit against Texas A&M as well.
Yeah. I mean, it is something to worry about when you're getting into because you can play these teams and you're so much better than them that it doesn't matter. But yeah, it can matter in those games. But obviously too, like, you don't expect it to be, I mean, it was an extreme version against NC State that what you see there. So I think it's not quite the Boise State thing. I think was a little bit different, like I think it was a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, those are things that they are like, it's kind of like champagne problems a little bit because, they are 5th in points per drive and they're the most explosive offense in the country, or the most explosive
one of them.
Yeah. And so yeah, it is picking nits a little bit, but you don't want to get into situations where you have to rely on just like, well, we're going to need to hit this deep ball again and again. Yeah. Like, you just don't want to be, you can't play like that all the time. And I just don't think that they've executed at an extremely high level the way that you want them to in all ways. And I think, a lot of it in the Boise State game was Carr. And then in this game, some of it is the O-line and some of the other things too, right? So I do think, okay, one of the things that is weirdly, because he is having a good season, so I don't want to say it's like anything on him, but I do think there is something with Fields, like, they should find different ways to, tell me if you agree with this. So like, I think they should find different ways to get it to him other than what they're doing. Like, I just kind of think like, it is weird that, he doesn't get, he's only caught 54.5% of his targets. And, it's not on him very often.
I think Carr's missed him a good amount.
Carr has missed him.
Yeah.
But I also think like sometimes you just got to get that guy the ball in other ways if it is. And I think they've done some of that with the screen game and all that too. But it doesn't always have to be like he has a really high, average depth of targets, 15.5 yards, right? Like they're throwing a D to him a lot. And I just think you can find other ways to get him. Because you see, like, when he runs a square in and he gets 20 yards, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy who could do a little bit more. And I wonder if they'll do that with him. Because I just think, like, he's obviously he's averaging 18.8 yards per reception. He's got 11 20+ yard receptions. He's having a good year. But I just think like he's can be just utilized just a little bit different to be like used more efficiently.
It is weird that he hasn't had like a huge game yet, considering I feel like he's been a problem for kind of every team. And I do think it's in part because Carr's missed him a few times. Eric Fasano says, get the slant. I would stop the slant situation. I don't think he's super comfortable catching it. Personally, I don't know that he loves running the slant.
I don't think he runs it that well, to be honest.
I agree. I don't think he likes it. But the square in thing is like a great point. I do think he's been caught up a little bit in the fact that like these matchups with Pauling in the slot have been so advantageous for Notre Dame. It's like we We really want to take advantage.
He's probably going to be in this game too.
Yeah. Like it's there. And Will Pauling is just a weapon. Like he's running by people. I mean, he's running by himself in the secondary. He's got like yards of separation. How do you not go to him? And I think it's one of those things. And we saw this with kind of Denbrock when he was like with the 14 and the 15 team, when it's like you had Chris Brown on the boundary, like they were such a field heavy team with Fuller out there. And then whoever was in the slot, whether it was Amir Carlisle or whether it was Torrey Hunter or whoever it was, like they were so field oriented because of those guys. I mean, Chris Brown was a good player, but he wasn't, it wasn't like he wasn't
Michael
dominant.
Floyd
right
at the boundary. Yeah.
Right. And so like, and if you think about all of the boundary dominant seasons that Notre Dame had, it was with Chip Long or it was with Tommy Rees when they were throwing to the boundary all the time, And so that's not really, I mean, I think even to an extent that was the deal at LSU where Brian Thomas was a field guy and Malik Neighbors was in the slot and they were just taking advantage of the field. And obviously you had a quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who could do that, and he had the kind of arm. CJ Carr has that kind of arm. The good news is like they have found ways. I think in a lot of sense or a lot of instances, like the fade to the boundary at the goal line fade is like, it's like not the best, but I would do it more than they do. Like, I feel like there's so many plays where I look at like Fields is kind of by himself. He could throw him the ball and they just do something else. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but they just don't throw it to him. So I agree with you. Like, I feel like there's meat left on the bone with Malachi Fields, and like the square in stuff I love, the post stuff I love, back shoulder stuff I love. So, but they've got to connect on it. I do want to talk, like, so I was kind of talking about the inefficiencies of the offense, and there is also a conversation about how much it matters now with the way the defense is playing. How good do you think this? How do you view the defense right now? I guess is a better way to put it, because I don't know if I fully trust it yet, but like everything they're doing is it's pretty good. Like this is in the last 3 games, this is like very much 2024 Notre Dame defense with the way that they're playing.
100%. And I think, I think it's a different animal this game because it is the best offense that they're going to play.
For sure. And to be clear, like the 24 defense, they had trouble with this offense as well. So it's not like,
I think any defense in the country would have trouble with this offense. I just think that they have a lot of weapons and he's just he's a brilliant play caller.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
But obviously it is one of those things where I think you get a good view though, because you have to be able to, it's about getting enough wins. And even if you go back to that game, which was such like, it was like a Picasso, job by Al Golden in that one game against Caleb Williams. And it's like, I think when it's something I'm going to write about in 6 Thoughts this week. Is like, that kind of cemented Al Golden's legacy at Notre Dame, right? Like, that's like people just like, that didn't even happen in the national championship year where they went to the national championship. That happened the year before, but it was so good. And it was like, it was such redemption based on what a great game, Williams had the year before. But if you go back and rewatch the game, I mean, they had moments and they were driving the ball and they did stuff too and whatever, right? Like, it was not like perfect the whole game. You're going to give some stuff up, but you have to be able to make plays and you have to be able to do that. And that's going to be, I really think that's kind of like the key. And I do think what you're seeing is they're letting the playmakers be playmakers in a lot of ways. And those guys, they're playing faster and more violent and all of that. And I think that's a really big deal. But I honestly think if you look at like if you go say it's first quarter of the season, yuck, right? Second quarter, right? Games 4-6, really good.
Yeah.
Actually really good. And the numbers kind of back that up because they were like, really like bottom feeding with where they were in kind of everything. And now, like, so they were 130th in EPA per dropback just based off the last 3 games. They went up to 57th. Like, you know how hard it is to jump that much? Like, to go 63 spots? Like,
Yeah.
I know it's like, early or whatever, technically, right? 3 games, but you have to really, like, if you looked at over the last 3 games of what they were just that 3 game span and what they were doing, it would be like top 15, top 10, whatever.
It's a 100% improvement.
It's 100% improvement.
Yeah.
And then
to jump 50 like that.
Yeah. And even if you look at just like, say, their overall stuff now, where it's like they're 39th in stop rate, they're 41st in points per drive. They were like 100th. Like, so I don't know. Like, I totally understand why if you have a bad first impression,
yeah,
I get it. It sticks, and it's not going to go away for Chris Ash unless like they go through this whole season with no stinkers and just keep playing. And they got to play well this weekend and all that kind of stuff. But no one could argue that the defense hasn't played great over the last 3 weeks because they have.
Yeah,
they really have. And where before I was, I don't think it was kind of unfathomable to think like, I feel confident Notre Dame's defense is going to play pretty well against USC's offense. To say that like 4 weeks ago. And now I do feel that way. Like, I feel like, yes, it's going to be tough and they're going to get all they can handle, but I just see so much more like resiliency and just sound within the scheme and more variation with the pressures and stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
Guys playing more confident and better. I don't know. I really think like, I really think they're going to play well this weekend. And famous last words, I guess, but like, I just think they're going to play really well against them.
Yeah. So the thing that I think people would get lost in is like, I post numbers on Twitter and people Twitter is a terrible place.
It really,
people can't understand, like they can't take in information. It's really annoying. So I was talking about the Notre Dame's tackle numbers, right? And how they've dipped like considerably, like we surmised post Miami. Against Miami, they had 12 missed tackles. Then they had 9. Then they had 3. Then they had 6. Then they had 6. I don't know what they had in this game. I can go check, but I don't think that they missed a ton of tackles in this game. But like, no one thinks that they're a poor tackling team now, right?
No.
And of course, everyone said, well, that's not against Texas A&M and that's not against Miami. It's like, yes, but the concern, if you're a bad tackling team, you're a bad tackling team against everyone.
Everyone. Yeah.
That's what being bad is. You're bad. When you're 100th, whatever, that means you're bad against the 80th and the 60th and the 70th. Like, you're bad. It's the same with the defense. Like, I posted that in the last 35 drives, they've given up 4 touchdowns. 35 drives, Jamie. That is so hard to do. You look at Arkansas, and I put on Twitter, in their last 4 games, it's all against ranked teams. Arkansas has scored 31, 31, and 31. They've lost by 6, 1, and 3.
And all those games are on the road too.
On the road. And then they played Notre Dame at home, and they lost by 43 points, and they scored 13. They scored 1 touchdown. Like, but it's Arkansas. It doesn't matter. A bad defense doesn't do that. A bad defense does not give up 4 touchdowns in 35 drives. That's not what a bad defense does. It doesn't matter who the competition is if you're bad. Okay? So they are playing distinctly better That is a fact, right? It's not me twisting anything. When you go that amount of time without letting teams into the end zone for whatever reason, you're playing really well. And so I have history with Notre Dame and USC, specifically with Lincoln Riley, about him being able to scheme up Notre Dame. There was a really good point that Sam K made that I'm going to bring it up because I was going to ask you this, and then he mentioned it. So I'll give him credit, and I was thinking along the same lines. Notre Dame has been cooked in man coverage by Lincoln Riley with his screen game, with his motion, with all that stuff. Like, that has been a huge part of this, is getting Notre Dame out leveraged while they're playing man. Zone, USC, they're not, it's different against zone, I guess. Which isn't to say I don't love Notre Dame playing zone, but in theory, if you're mixing in zone a lot more than you would against a team like USC, that can be effective. So I think Sam's onto something here with the zone stuff. Because especially against Jaden Uyeyama, he's very good at like, hey, I know what I'm getting. I'm getting it out, right? I know what I'm getting. I'm getting it out. Oh, this is man. All right, good. I know what I'm doing. I'll throw a go ball. I'll throw a jump ball to this guy, right? That's what they did against Notre Dame last year. They saw the coverage. It's man. Let's take a shot on Christian Gray or whoever it might be, right? Isn't to say they don't know. Lincoln Riley knows how to manage all number of defenses. But I think it is different when you're playing USC, when they're such good at man beaters.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, also, one of the things with USC, if you look at like kind of their underlying numbers this year, they play very few teams play man against them. Like, I mean, very few teams play heavy man, period, because they don't have, frankly, they don't have the corners to do it. And that's why most teams don't, is because it's like, well, we don't have the athletes to play it. So we have to play zone, right? It's like Jim Boeheim's running, his zone in college, all this, because he didn't have, he used it. It was his like mechanism for being like, well, I can have this like slow white guy who's going to shoot threes out here, and he can just, play the 2-3 zone. And I don't have to ask him to man up on a point guard who's like, going to cook him. Right. Like that's a thing, but they play discipline within that. And it's exact same thing in football, right? Like, that's why you don't have it. But it's also why it's such a huge advantage if you can do it. So I think there's no way they're going to play as much man as they did last year against that. And Al Golden said after that game, he's like, I made I made mistakes. Yeah. I made mistakes. I should have changed some things, all that. And they aren't going to play. I mean, they're going to play some man, but they're not going to play as much. Like it's definitely a thing. But I think even the fact that's what, when Freeman said it, and not, he's not going to give it too much away, but it's true. Like, they don't want to give up. And it's exactly what you said about the thing with Moore too, is why they don't want to just put him on the slot, because they want to make sure that they're not giving away what they're running based on alignment. Yeah. They don't want to do that, because if they're confusing Uyeyama, and that was one of the things too with, if you go back and look at that 2023 USC game with Golden, they ran a ton of man, but it was like they mixed stuff up all the time. They were giving different looks to him all the time, and that's why he was like, and it's kind of why Caleb Williams is who he is. It's like, I don't think he's good at processing that stuff, right? And why he hasn't been that successful in the NFL yet. So, I mean, I guarantee you with Uyeyama, it's like, I'm not saying they're not good. They are obviously very good, right? They're very good and very talented. And he's a great play caller and all that stuff. But like, they've played trash defenses. And I know Michigan isn't a trash defense, but Michigan is definitely not the same defense they were last year. And if you notice too, like, remember how like John Mateer was like getting Heisman hype after the Michigan game? Yeah. And then I know he came back, he was injured. That wasn't just injured. Like he's not that good. He's not that good. Like it's fun to overreact to these kind of things, but he is not like people were acting like everyone gets so excited, hoping someone will be like the next Baker Mayfield or whatever. But it usually doesn't turn out that way, because a lot of these guys, it's like, I mean, he takes a lot of chances, and some of those times are going to get picked. But this is who they played in terms of YPP. And shout out to Brian Freeman. I love, everything Brian Freeman does, obviously, with FEI and everything that he tracks, like points per drive and all that stuff. I think it's super valuable. And I think, and it comes out later in the week than everyone, because he has to parse out stuff that's garbage time, and he takes out, obviously, all the stuff versus FCS opponents. So it gives you the clearest picture, especially as you get later into the season, of what a team really is, where they really rank, and what that matters in terms of the ranking. And if you look at the teams that they have played on defense, Georgia Southern 135th in yards per play, Missouri State 130th, Purdue 126th, Michigan State 94th, Illinois 79th. Like Michigan 34th, yeah, that's fine. But like I just said, I don't think Michigan is actually that good. They're not what they were the last 2 years, because they don't have the same talent. And frankly, I don't think the coordinator is as good as like Don was or whatever, but or Minter was, right? But so I think that's the thing, that it is a big difference when you're going against that, and we're teams that are just limited and they can't do this. Notre Dame will challenge them more, and that does make a big difference. Completely taking out the fact that they stink on the road.
They are not good on the road. That is just true, especially when it's in the East, right? Eastern time zone. I think it's a little bit mitigated when it's at night, because the body clock doesn't tend to matter. Not that it totally matters in this situations. They're just not as good, right? I mean, look at they're so much better at home too. That's the other part. It's not that they're not good on the road, as much as like these other teams that have to come to, like Michigan has to come to them as part of a league schedule, and not as part of like this thing that we're gearing up for, like in the preseason, like in week 1 or something. It's totally different when it's in the middle of the year and you're going to play USC and they're coming off a bye and you're not. Like it's kind of a thing. And also Michigan's a total disgrace, and everyone should laugh at them. Like the thing with USC using a player which was listed as out, and then they had him put on pads during the game because running backs got hurt. I honestly, why isn't it
a $5,000 fine?
How is it not a forfeit? I don't understand. You're using an ineligible player. I don't get it. I truly don't.
That is insane. It is actually insane that they could get away with that. You would never be able to get away with that in the NFL.
He scored a touchdown.
Yes. Like,
imagine if like Notre Dame ruled out, I don't know. I don't even care who it is. Jabron Payne.
Anyone. You could
just said he was out for the game. And they announced it. And then they play him. I don't what?
They obviously don't care about anything there when they're like, they have deals with the Big Ten, but then they're trying to do some separate deal with Netflix for a Notre. Like, how could they even get away? Like, honestly, if I was Ohio State and USC was trying to do that, be like, hell no. We're going to Amazon Prime for Michigan State, Ohio State then, and we're getting all this money. Like, there's no way that anyone, like, the audacity. Jen Cohen, you're a loser. Just a total loser. I get, like, come on. Just blatant against the rules, these people. It's so stupid. I've never even heard of anything like this. It is an absolute, yes, Sam K. It is a clown show. An absolute clown show. It's not like she's not an experienced AD. She's been an athletic director for many years. So it's not like she doesn't know that there are rules, contracts, or whatever. It's not like when it's like, I could get it for like, well, Lynn Swan's doing it, and he's just the alum, and he's like, well, I knew the guy from Netflix and whatever. No, this person's like an administrator, a businesswoman, like supposedly a smart person. She's like, they're having backroom deals. What? It's insane.
So Ryan Heil says USC got approval from the sideline calling directly to the conference. And he said it was on the Rakes report with Chris. I think Chris had a USC guy. Look,
I'm sure they did, but even for the conference,
well, obviously, if the penalty was forfeit, they wouldn't have played him, right? Like they obviously played him because they know what the penalty is, so it's fine. It's
hold on. Just one thing that I gotta say about that is 100% why conferences shouldn't have a say in that, because they're making that decision. The reason they're making that decision is because, well, USC, we kind of need them to win this game because it's better for the Big Ten if they're like going to be good and then possibly be an extra team in the playoff. That's why they do. That's why they make that decision. Just like why the ACC replay things like, we'll give this to NC State. Like, honestly, that 100%. They shouldn't. And we don't get the ESPN feed telling us exactly what they're thinking.
Right,
because if we heard exactly what they were thinking, everyone would have been like, fire these people tomorrow. Because there's no excuse that they could give for that.
Yeah.
They need to be eliminated out of that. The problem is like, that means that all of these Power 4 conferences or whatever have to pay extra to get somebody separate to do it. But if you want to eliminate, like how there was the thing last year where Utah's AD just called out the Big 12 and said it was a joke, whatever. Yeah. But if you want to eliminate that kind of stuff, that's how you do it. Because you can't say there isn't obvious bias because it happens too much to say there isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 100%. And I would be more upset if it hadn't happened against the disgraceful program, which is the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
And they are also scumbags who cheat and just do whatever they want. And that's unfortunate. You got to have integrity in the way that you play the sport, and you got to have integrity in the way you run your program. And neither of them do. So good riddance to both of them. They deserve each other. You deserve something for yourself, Jamie, and we all deserve something for ourselves, our own thing that we do. And you can find that with pickleball, Jamie. It can be your own thing that you do with your friends, people with like-minded interests. And you can do that with the H2 Pickleball League, founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill. He's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howells, the top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans to Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball and common interests? Membership is free. Members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. The next event will be a Will House Pickleball Clinic on the Friday before the Syracuse game. Members can also get discounted tickets to the Syracuse game. Contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. We have to wait. Irish for Life 99. I played tennis all my life. Does that translate to pickleball well? I mean, yeah. Yes, it is pickleball but small, or it is tennis but smaller. Perfect. 100% Irish for Life. You will dominate. Join H2 Pickleball. Mishawaka. Look it up. There was a question in the chat and I didn't start, and I apologize. I apologize to that person. They were asking about how Notre Dame schemes stopping USC's run game. This is a very hard challenge. Okay. And I think the other part of this is there's like rain in the forecast. I don't know if there's heavy rain in the forecast, but I think it's going to be damp at the very least. So that lends itself to a little bit more running, I think. How do you go about stopping USC's running game with the way that they do it and their passing game? It is easier, I think, when you're playing more zone. That's just my opinion, but I'd like to get your thoughts on this subject.
Yeah, it definitely is. Also, I think that there's like, you kind of have to be okay with giving some stuff up in the run game. And it just is. And I'm sure, Mike will admit he'll probably be talking about how they're running it down Notre Dame's throats, but it's like,
right.
That happens to everyone when they play USC. There's a reason they don't like you said on Power, Greg, like they don't dominate anyone. Their line isn't good. Like they have very few NFL players on their line. Elijah Page, who didn't play in the last couple of games, is probably the only guy who's a for sure NFL player on their line. And yet they still can run for whatever they want because teams have to play, and you're stressed because of the RPO stuff. You're stressed because of the screen game. You're stressed because of the vertical threats and all this, and then they can get you. And that's just one of the things. If so last year in the game, 0.40 EPA per rush, 95th percentile, they rushed against Notre Dame last year, right? Obviously that's not good, but they didn't run. It's like, if you think about it, when they were close to the red zone, they can't run it the same because they can't spread you out the same.
Right.
So it's the thing is that you have to be able to, you have to defend them different when they are in 40 and in. That's really what it is. And really, 20 and in too, right? And you have to be able to do that because they play it different and because they can't do the same things. They can't stress you the exact same way. So that is actually going to be a super big key in the game. It was you're going to give up some stuff. That's going to happen. And you need to win up front so that you don't get gashed, in the way, guess what? You're going to give up some 6-yard runs. You're going to give them some 8-yard runs. You just don't want those to be 20, 30-yard runs like they were in the Michigan game, right? Because if you put Michigan's, even though they don't have Mason Graham and God, I forget the other guy's name who was the defensive tackle in the first round last year. But they don't have those guys. There's D-line. If you put them in if it was 9-on-7, you're running that drill, you're running inside run in a practice, they would kick the crap out of USC's O-line every time. But that's not how it is. That's not what you're doing, right? It's not like you're running Oklahoma drill. You're not doing this. It's they're spreading you out. Yeah. And that's the Kenneth Grant. Thank you, Chris Wells. It is one of those things. That's the challenge of it. So if they're doing that and they're going to get those things, you just don't want to give up those super long ones. And if you can just maintain it and get enough stuffs to get them into bad situations, also stop them from having success throwing on first down.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that is a big thing too. And then you can have success. If you turn them in, and if you turn it into something, or you get a big enough lead that it's because that's just something that happens with Riley all the time, is he gets super impatient.
Right.
It's super impatient. And then all of a sudden he's just chucking it all over the place. And that is to their detriment. But when they're balanced and he can just keep going back and forth, if they got a lead, they're close, that's when he's going to be able to do things. But there's a reason why everyone talks about their running game. It's they're always super high in EPA per rush, and they always have successful runs. They're very high success rate run. But why can't they close out in the fourth quarter? It's because they can't lean on the running game. They need the passing game to open up the run. That's why it's an air raid offense.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just one of those things where you're going to have to go, and that's where you're going to need guys like KVA to just be well, I just own this guy at the point of attack, and no game, and that's how you do it. Really, is those things you need. Gabriel Rubio to just destroy a guard and then just win in that way. Because if you get into situations where they're even they weren't killing Howard Cross and Riley Mills in the year that was 2022. They weren't killing those guys in those years. And they weren't killing Bertrand or Marist either, right? That wasn't how they were doing it. It's just like they always have numbers. They always have even numbers because you have to, because you can't get outnumbered in the passing game against them or else you're hooped. And it's extremely difficult to play against. And when he is on, there's no one better who has a pulse of when to call things.
Yeah. It's also like the King Miller thing. He's a good player. He's a good running back. And they've liked him for a while. This isn't something that just popped up, right? Like
he's getting a lot of praise in camp and all that.
Yeah. So they like him as a runner. It's different when it's like, hey, we called you into this Michigan game and we're going to give you the ball to run, and that's cool. It's another thing when it's like, okay, now you're in the game plan. You're the guy every single week, and now you have to be like a full running back. It's just different, right? It's a different animal going against Notre Dame in that sense. And I do think, to your point about Riley getting impatient, like he didn't have to get impatient because they were running it so well against Michigan. If they're not running it that great against Notre Dame, especially early, it's like, is he going to have the patience to continue to give the ball to King Miller over and over again? Like probably not. Like I would guess no, right? Especially so if Notre Dame's off to a fast start on offense and they've got some points on the board. And so it's kind of like you said. The other thing too, you mentioned KVA. I don't know what this means for other players, and this has nothing to do with that. I'm not taking him off the field one time in this game. But maybe I don't know. Give him 5 snaps off or whatever. Yeah. He's got to be on the field all the time. Honestly, I'd play Junior Tuihalamaka a ton. Elijah Hughes, I would play him a ton. Like these USC guys or these local Southern California guys, like I would like lean on them in this game and be like, go carry us, because I think first of all, I think KVA absolutely can. I think he is going to have an amazing football game. I think Junior Tuihalamaka is going to do something. Like these are just good players. And like I said, KVA didn't play in the game last year because he hurt his knee the week before against Army.
So killed him to not play.
Yeah. And so obviously he didn't like that. So he's going to be very motivated for this game. Find an excuse to get mad at Framo in it as well, because he's another local guy. So I think that's like a low key thing that Notre Dame has in their back pocket in this game defensively. It's like those guys just are itching to play against Notre Dame, and I know KVA specifically. So I don't know, man. I have we'll talk about it more on Thursday. I have a very hard time with USC week, as I mentioned at the top. I get very I watch it's weird. I watch USC with rose-colored glasses. It's like everything they do, I'm like, man, I don't know how Notre Dame's going to deal with this. I mean, it's like literally every single year. And even when USC's bad, I get concerned about some of their stuff that they can do and some of the guys that they have on their team. But like analyzing the game is just, it is what it is. Like it just, the way Notre Dame's playing and the thing is like USC was kind of ready to get blown out against Illinois, but for like a miracle play, 2 times Illinois at the 1 yard line's fumbling as they're going into the end zone kind of thing, like
they were not good in that game. Yeah,
they weren't. Yeah, they weren't.
Should have been much worse.
Yeah. So it just it is what it is, man. And the Michigan game is that's a great performance from them. It is a good job and credit to them for that. But I don't know, Jamie. I just it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous, but that's just what living in Southern California does for you. So I think we can end it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So it is. We are going live. We'll be back on Thursday with another preview show for USC. We'll go fully into USC. It's fun to talk about. It's a fun game, and we'll see how it goes. We'll get some updates from Marcus Freeman on some injuries as well. So we'll talk to you on Thursday. Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Keep hitting and hustling.